Welcome back to Doctor's Homestead. My name's Daniel.
I'm Janet.
And Jay, Strangely Strange, is here with us. We're talking about 1984. So we already did part one, and we're looking at part two coming in. So part one, we mostly talked about the book, right? The type of novel, the genre, things like that. And now we're going to kind of start looking chapter by chapter, going through it that way. So I was looking at some of the quotes, something we talked about last week on 1984, which is we found some reviews from the time it was written, from 1949, which is when the book came out. And it's interesting seeing some of the reviews from when it first came out. So just to kind of lean back.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Right. Yeah. What did people think about it?
Of it?
Right. Because when we were looking at things like Slaughterhouse-Five, not well received at the time, right? Slaughterhouse-Five was banned and all sorts of stuff. So this was the Time magazine, and we may have hit on some of it last time, which is most novels about an imaginary world have as their central character, interpreter, a man who somehow strays out of the author's own time and finds himself in a world he never made. But Orwell, like Aldous Huxley in Brave New World, builds his nightmare of tomorrow on foundations that are firmly laid today. He needs no contemporary spokesman to explain and interpret, for the simple reason that any reader in 1949 can uneasily see his own shattered features, and Winston Smith can scent in the world of 1984 a stench that's already familiar. So even in 1949, it was pretty relatable, as far as dystopian novel goes. It was very relatable, and it seems very relatable now.
I think 1984 was a good year.
Yeah, 1984 was the 80s, mid-80s.
5th, 6th grade. I don't know. The music was good.
Music was good.
Yeah. I bet in 49 they didn't think 84 would have been what 84
as cool as it was.
It was cool. The 80s
Jazzercise.
Yeah, leg warmers.
Leg warmers.
You could put on like 16 different things and they didn't match, and it didn't matter because it was still cool.
Yeah.
Good hair.
No color coordination, giant hair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those were the days. Yeah. It wasn't like this 1984.
Doing the big
yeah. My hair was short and like spiked. I wanted that Flock of Seagulls look, but you need a lot of Aquanet to get that Flock of Seagulls look.
So Orwell was off by about 40 years, is what we're saying. If Orwell had time traveled to 1984,
he would have lost it
and saw all the bright colors and the
he'd have been like, y'all are crazy.
Right. He'd be like, I was wrong. But if he came to 2024,
he would have been like, I was wrong. This is Jazzercise era. Right, he would not have done this.
This is sweating to the oldies. This was
Richard Simmons.
This is Richard Siemens. I don't know.
I don't think he was cool in the 80s.
He should have been. He should have been.
Yeah.
Should have been in the 80s, right? Big hair bands.
Yes. To me.
But if he came to 2024, he would have been like, I got it. This is
if he would have came now, he'd have been like, oh, yeah, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, he missed it a little bit.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion. But
we looped back. There's sort of that cycle. There was a time period where things weren't like this.
Right. Yeah.
Well, maybe world leaders took 1984 as a warning, and then later world leaders took it as an instruction manual.
Right. That's exactly what they're doing now. Yeah.
It feels very instructional.
I mean, they just passed the FISA warrant thing in the U.S. where they can just spy on people without warrants.
Or maybe our current president thinks it's 1984.
Right. Maybe he's got the century wrong. He's like, is this 1949, 1924?
Oh, well. Yeah. You should be jazzercising then.
Could be. All right.
Like what is it? The upstarts? What's the morning jerks or something?
Oh, right. In the book when they have to
they got to do the
exercise. They do have jazz. You're right, Jay. They do have jazzercise.
They have jazzercise. That was chapter one we hit. Yeah. What'd they call it? They did have a name for it, right?
They just weren't playing Let's Get Physical in the background.
Probably not. That would not fit into... They've got the Big Brothers watching you. They had a name for it. It was the morning something. Right.
Yeah.
I think he called it the morning jerks or something, but I don't know what they
probably
call it.
That's when you get old, it's all like turkey jerky and everything.
Yeah. That's what I feel like
everything
after
cracks.
gardening today.
Yeah.
But that actually brings up a bit of a point that came into my head, and how often a lot of these things we're talking about happening now, it's all done with good intentions, because that's a good thing, like getting people up and exercising and having them motivated, and it's a good thing. And so that I found that that's how so many of these control measures, like save the children and keep our democracy safe, and all these things are kind of brought in with great ideals, and they are.
It starts with good intentions.
Ends
with somebody who's hungry for power. Controlling.
So it just makes me wonder, like, how do we stop that circumventing happening so that we still get the good ideals, but that's the question for the ages, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people are trying to figure that one out right now.
Like the 15-minute cities, like I can see the concerns that people are putting up about them, but at the same time they're forgetting that 15-minute cities before cars, that's how we lived. We lived within walking distance of everything, and
absolutely.
So it's a good ideal. Like I support the idea, but the execution is where we need to
being forced to stay within.
It's the forced part. Right. The idea of having everything you need close by is certainly convenient. And they did that. Like,
I mean, I'm a homebody, so I get it. But I also don't want somebody telling me that I can't go.
It takes us 15 minutes to get into town.
Yeah.
We can get into town about 15 minutes. So you could say we've created our own little 15-minute city.
Yeah, but I chose it.
We're about 15 minutes from the feed store.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all I
takes us 15 minutes to get to the feed store. Yeah.
And that's probably what makes
I mean, there's people that are in their life that they want to be buzzing around all over the place, though,
Right.
But and I think it's that being forced aspect is what makes the morning jerks the dystopian.
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to say that it's fun getting up doing the exercise until you're forced to, and you're being monitored. Like, hey, citizen 93487, you're not putting enough into it. Let's see those
There's
jumping
no free
jacks.
will left.
Right. Yeah. It's when you lose, when you're completely controlled, that all of a sudden it's not so.
But I mean, realistically, we all have our own constraints anyway. You only go, 20 minutes if you have a car and enough money to put gas in it, and you have the means to do it because of a bunch of decisions you made in your life.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really about, we have our own circumstances that keep us living within our means, but we don't want somebody to tell us what our means are.
Right. The whole "don't tell me how to live my life" thing.
Yeah. Like Locke from Lost. Don't tell me what I can't do.
Right.
That was his biggest thing, the character. Don't tell me what I can't do.
Yeah.
And that's what people are like.
Yeah. What's that phrase? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Is that the...
Yeah. No, that absolutely makes sense. Yeah. If you think you can't do it, you're right. Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, let's jump in. Let's hit chapter 2. Get rolling here a little bit.
Nice.
So we did chapter 1. Winston, he woke up. He wrote in his book, which was a thought crime, which nowadays on social media, that's pretty easy. If you're in the middle of the night and you post the wrong thing on social media, you did a thought crime, so you got to be careful. No drunk thought crimes on social media. So he did a thought crime in his little notebook, hiding in his room because there's the cameras there all the time. Got up, did his exercise, his jazzercise. And I think that was it. I don't know if I missed anything else good from chapter 1.
Probably not. I mean, it's slow. It's a slow book. For me, it's slow burn.
Yeah, the first part, because he's world building. He's got to...
Absolutely.
I've written in a note here, it's when Winston meets, or not meets, but they have the eye contact with O'Brien.
Yeah.
And he debates. And it says here, Winston is debating himself whether O'Brien is actually against Big Brother. And we can see how that has come into today's world. Like, we've always had taboo topics. but it's become even more like certain things we can't talk about in public to people who aren't in our in-group. And it's happening. Like we're doing it now already, you know, with lots of topics. Yeah, we're becoming even more cautious and almost afraid to talk about certain topics.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I would completely agree on that. 100%.
And so you couldn't just come out and go, oh, are you against Big Brother?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Because you're down. You're gone for that. Right. Yeah. I mean, you see it in China. Not that I've been to China. I almost had to go to China for work. Yeah. I was actually going to work in China for a while, but it didn't work out. I'm okay with that. But there are places in the world where it's illegal to speak out against the government. And I think China is probably one of them. That's just my understanding.
Don't know much about it.
I imagine a place like North Korea is the same thing. Like it's illegal to speak out against the government. So in that sense, he nailed it. We're not there yet. I would say
we're there.
In the U.S., we're pretty close. We're pretty close. Yeah, there's those.
When the FBI is showing up at people's houses.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about your social media posts.
Yeah, we are.
We're pretty big. Yeah, I was going to lean into that a little bit because, you see that on social media now, videos where the FBI comes in and says, hey, you're not under arrest, but we do want to talk to you about some of the stuff you've been posting on social media.
And I mean, out of the team of us as two doctors, you are really the prepper here.
Right.
I mean,
definitely
this is you live this.
Right.
But I'm more of the I think that people should be concerned about the government listening to them.
Yeah.
Because because your phones are listening to you because they're using it for marketing purposes.
Right.
You know, you're saying yes to that 15 page, thing that you sign when you download an app.
Right.
And I'm sure somewhere in there it is, and I understand it. I understand marketing because our degrees are in business. Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. You're going to utilize everything that you can to be able to, hit your target market.
Right.
But to think, though, that the phone is listening to you for target marketing, but it's not also accessible then to if a government agency wants to put you on a list that they also have access to be like, hey, let's review what's going on. That's, Snowden opened up a whole bunch of stuff.
He did. Yeah.
And to think that it hasn't gone past that.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Is naive.
Yeah.
There is a potential to go past that. Do I know that it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. Right. But my thing is as a manager, there's things I didn't tell my employees because I didn't want them to be afraid. Yeah. I didn't want them to up and leave.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that I can keep employee commitment and employee morale up. Yeah. And for that meant blocking them from some of the realities of what the business was.
Yeah.
And any good management system is going to do that. Yeah. And so is governments across the world are going to shield their population from things certain realities that they might think that can't deal with.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's happening.
Right.
All across the world.
Yeah.
So, we are at the point where our phone can listen to us.
Yeah. Right.
Like reality wise, technically.
Yeah. The technology.
Technology is there.
Right.
Just like 1984, where everybody was bugged all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't really have closed caption TV camera as much, but they had bugs. Everybody understood at the time.
Yeah. And this right here is a bug.
It's a bug. Right.
It is. I mean, I'm not being conspiracy theory.
Right.
Technology wise, it's the potential too. Is it? Who knows? I don't know.
Right. Probably.
But it could be, if I was a leader, I would be like, wow, this is technology
Let's see what's going on.
Taking advantage of.
Right.
I mean, they're not stupid people.
It's sentiment analysis on a large scale. Sentiment analysis.
Absolutely. And if businesses can do sentiment analysis to hit a target market, why can't you do it for anything else?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just my thought on it.
Yeah.
That doesn't reflect anything.
Just personal opinion.
That's just my personal
opinion. Right.
It also has another good example of good intention as well too. Like it's sold with a good intention. Keep people safe, stop terrorism, stop crime, but
absolutely,
it's sold with good intentions, but the execution is lacking in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
And I disabled if anything says third-party cookies.
Right. You're like, nope. Nope.
You know, that's the thing. I am too. All of mine are disabled.
Yeah.
And yet I could say, I'm talking to Daniel about, you know, Rando, a tool that helps you dig weeds out of the garden.
Right.
Never talked about that before. But I guarantee now, within the next 24 hours, I will have an ad on my Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is for a tool that helps me pick weeds.
Yeah.
And all of it is turned off.
Right.
I've said no to all of it.
Yeah.
So then how can they still target me?
They can still do it. Yeah. They can
like,
still
how
do
is it even possible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Google.
And I can say it off of live is what I mean. You know, obviously they can get it off of this broadcast, but I can say something off of, I can say something just privately and I will still get it. And that's what gets me to the opinion that I have now is it's too much. It's happened too many times.
Right. It's all tracked and bugged and
every time I swipe my bank card, they're tracking everything I buy.
Yeah. I mean, I did some big data scientific computing stuff years ago, and the banks know within 3 transactions if you've lost your job.
Yeah. Because of the way you're spending habits.
Yeah, within 3 transactions. So your next 3 transactions on your credit card, they know that someone lost their job.
They also know if you're pregnant.
Right. They know if you're pregnant. They know if you've lost your job. So then they can immediately be like, whoa, let's pull this person's credit limit back.
Right.
3 transactions right now. I don't know which, if you think about it, you've lost your job, your routine is broken. So you're not going to buy gas on the right time. You're not going to maybe go out to dinner on the right time. Because we're all creatures of habit. But within 3 transactions, they already know that this person lost their job.
Wow.
That's all they need. Yeah. It's crazy.
This is why I think it's going to be a bit of a back push to technology. You know, like I know we kind of get the the kids, they're all into the tech and stuff, but you know, they're seeing all of this. And I think once the Gen Zs start having children of their own and they have to think about their future, those children's future, then that's where we're going to see, I think that's my hope anyway.
I mean, something like that has to happen, right? You see the road we're going down, and some point it's got to stop. The train's got to stop. All right.
I dream of like a modern Amish. Sorry, I dream of like a modern Amish.
That's fine. You're good.
You know, the Amish was like, technology to here, but no more. And then I sort of think maybe something like that. Like people will be like technology to the 90s, 2000s, and then
we're done. We're done.
That's Brave New World.
Right. That's
right.
Isn't it?
That is.
Get rid of all this AI stuff. That's too late. That's
how I kind of like homesteading. Like I like to homestead because I like doing stuff the old way. Right. It's just like we could buy bread every week, but I make bread by hand every week. Bread. You know, there's some I can my stuff because that's how I like to preserve. I think that I just like the old ways of doing stuff. Not that I don't embrace technology, because absolutely I do.
Right.
But I just think that there's some stuff that I like to have the old ways, which is having animals on your land and trying to be sustainable.
Yeah.
You do it because you're a prepper.
Right.
Right. But we both have different mindsets about it, but we both we're both in the same, we both have the same end goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's good. But chapter.
Should we go in? Should we go into chapter 2? All right, let's do this. So chapter 2. Winston opens the door fearfully, assuming that the thought police have arrived to arrest him for writing in the diary. True story, 2024, it happened. However, it is only Miss Parson, a neighbor in his apartment building, needing help with the plumbing while her husband is away. In Miss Parson's apartment, Winston is tormented by the fervent Parson children who, being junior spies, accuse him of a thought crime. The Junior Spies is an organization of children who monitor adults for disloyalty to the party and frequently succeed in catching them.
Yeah, because kids are ruthless.
Kids are ruthless. Yeah.
You get them young.
Right.
You can make a little soldier out of them.
Soldiers, children soldiers.
We've seen that
Yeah.
through the ages.
Right.
Yeah.
Miss Parson herself seems afraid of her zealous children, of course, and that doesn't work out well in the end. The children are very agitated because their mother won't let them go to a public hanging of some of the party's political enemies in the park that evening.
That used to be entertainment.
Right.
If you really think about it, that used to be entertainment.
That was the big show. Back in his apartment, Winston remembers a dream in which a man's voice, O'Brien, he thinks, said to him, "We shall meet in a place where there is no darkness." Winston writes in his diary that his thought crime makes him a dead man. Then he hides the book. So he's stashed in his little book under the sheets. And it's the place where there is no darkness. The lights would never be turned out is a place there is no darkness. So they'll, that's more towards the end of the book, but they kind of give you that little foreshadowing. If you can kind of decode a place where there is no darkness and it isn't a good place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a good place, but he does end up in a place where there is no darkness. So he foreshadows
the hall of love, the halls of love.
Yeah, right.
In that special room. What's
in the special room?
What's the room?
101 or something like that. What's in room? I don't know if it was 1 or 101. Yeah, it's a place where there's no darkness.
You know what's in room 101.
Right, you already know.
Which still reminds me of that Breaking Bad meth scene.
Right, yeah.
When Jesse Pinkman starts digging a hole.
I started digging the hole.
And the meth head's like, "What are you doing? What are you trying to find?" He's like, "You know." And he's like, "Oh, yeah. How far are we going to go? How deep is it?" That's what it reminded me of.
All right. We'll go to chapter 3. Winston dreams of being with his mother on a sinking ship. He feels strangely responsible for his mother's disappearance and a political purge almost 20 years ago.
He should. He was not a nice kid to his mom.
He was not a nice kid. He then dreams of a place called the Golden Country where the dark-haired girl takes off her clothes and runs toward him in an act of freedom that annihilates the whole party. He wakes with the word Shakespeare on his lips, not knowing where it came from. A high-pitched whistle sounds from the telescreen, a signal that office workers must wake up. It's time for the physical jerks, a round of grotesque exercise.
Time for the herky-jerkies.
All right. As he exercises, Winston thinks about his childhood, which he barely remembers, having no physical records such as photographs and documents. He thinks, which makes one's life lose its outline in one's memory. Winston considers Oceania's relationship to the other countries in the world, Eurasia and East Asia. According to official history, Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia, in alliance with East Asia, but Winston knows the records have changed. Winston remembers that no one had heard of Big Brother, the leader of the party, before 1960, but stories about him now appear in histories going back to the 1930s. As Winston has these thoughts, a voice from the telescreen suddenly calls out his name, reprimanding him for not working out hard enough at the physical jerks. Winston breaks out in hot sweat and tries harder to touch his toes. So, yeah, I mean, the whole, and it's a reoccurring theme, we're always at war with Eurasia, always in alliance with East Asia, and then next thing you know, they flip, and then we're at war with East Asia. And there's a lot of stuff about war, and at some point, not sure I have enough in the notes on any of this stuff. I just feel like I don't have enough in the notes to cover what I want to cover because there's so much in the book, especially around war and how, how the government's using war to control resources. And, you see what happened recently with Iran and Israel, where they sort of attacked each other, but no one really got hurt. I mean, it sort of feels like a page, a chapter out of this book, massive war, but no one really got hurt. And then I guess it's over now and both sides won,
Well, if they really did counterstrike just to save face, like you were talking about,
right. That pre-negotiated counterstrike.
Then what is the point?
Right.
To tell us on the stage,
we hit them back.
Okay.
Right. We hit them back. They hit us.
You hit them back, but you guys are playing a game of hopscotch here.
Right.
So, what's the problem? Like,
right. What's the point?
Unless the point is to use resources. Like it's shown here.
Yeah, the book goes into that in great detail.
And to just flex to say you can do it.
We did it. you hit us and this, but no one got hurt. And then we hit them back so hard, we won. And they're like, no, we won. And then it's over. You know, like we literally just saw that. We just saw that in the news last week.
Yeah, and I get nobody wants to be stepped on.
Yeah.
You know, nobody, but when you know that the people know that you're going to be hitting back because you've prearranged it with the enemy. That's not, I mean, I'm not saying fight dirty, but if you're going to fight, maybe don't tell the people.
Don't tell them. Don't call ahead and be like, hey, we'd like to.
I'm going to drop some bombs on you. Who does that?
Right.
That's not like if you're really trying to have something and win here, you don't, I mean, when you play baseball, you guys don't decide who's going to get what run and home runs.
And, hey, we'd like to get a home run this round.
I'm going to give you an underhand one so you can just hit a home run so you can clear the bases.
Right.
I mean,
it's like WWE.
It is. It's like World Wrestling.
Yeah, I don't watch it either because it's fake.
World Wrestling, right? WWE 3. It is. Yeah. Whoever runs the World Wrestling Federations is now a general.
Right.
It's like, okay, drop the elbow, give him the elbow, and then.
I don't see the point of it. I don't get it.
Know. It's just what it feels like. It's what it feels like where we're at.
It does what it feels like. It feels like this.
Right. It feels like the book.
It feels like the book. The book is war for the sake of war.
Right.
To see who's going to get in control of resources and, you know,
And then we just send them $14
And then you flip it to somebody else and now they employ their people to use the resources. It's just.
It's weird.
I'm not sure people have understood the. Meaning of life yet.
Right.
If that's what they think it is.
Missed something along the way.
They've missed something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And all the profit from destruction and death, like
right. Military industrial complex.
Why can't we profit from being nice to people?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right.
I know I am the tree hugger of this couple.
Right.
I get it.
And I had a quote. I think it was somewhere in the chapter. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past.
Yeah. That's very much a good sum of the book.
Yeah. Controls the past, controls the future, controls the present, controls the past. And we see that now in America so much. Controlling the present controls the past. We keep rewriting our history, changing it and rewriting it.
Yeah.
I'd say imagine what it's like to live through it, but we do.
We're there. Right.
We are there.
We're there.
I'm like, I was alive then, and that's not what I remember happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the 80s was good. Our 80s anyway.
80s was better.
80s was good.
90s was that was me.
I like the 90s music was good. The 90s were my bar days.
Right. The 90s
was good.
That's when I was single and went to the bar.
Right. 90s was good. That was peak. 90s was
Mr.
peak
Jones
humanity.
and me were hanging.
Right. 90s was peak humanity. It's been all downhill.
Yeah.
We came together to fix a hole in the ozone layer. Like that was done within 3 years. Huh?
Yeah. We fixed it. We did. We fixed it. It's gone.
Or fix the problem at least within 3 years. Y2K, like even though everyone's got old super, but there was actually teams and teams of programmers that were working for several years, making sure it didn't, and so it was. We had peak hope, We are
the world.
Right, we had the We Are the World. Right, the We Are the World.
We lived it through the 80s and 90s.
Right, everyone sang and held hands, and we fixed the ozone. We stopped
and then something happened in the 2000s.
It all went downhill.
Yeah.
Some millennials.
Century flipped and.
Right. We started over.
Yeah.
Probably. All right. And keep rolling. Book 1, chapter 4. Winston goes to his job in the records section of the Ministry of Truth, where he works with a SpeakWrite, a machine that types as he dictates into it. And that was sort of this whole SpeakWrite thing. We have that now. There's dictation software.
Started with that Dragon.
Right, the Dragon Speak. They sort of call out how that was sort of a sci-fi or was a sci-fi.
Yeah, because now it's all AI. Like you speak into it and AI.
Right, it figures it all out. That wasn't really a thing back then, but it is now. So that's sort of a sci-fi call out. I mean, they had dictation machines that would record, but this one types. Right, it does the typing. It's basically text to speech to text kind of stuff. So that was it.
Yeah, they had secretaries that took shorthand.
Right.
In the 40s.
Right.
That was their dictation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works with a speak right, dictates into it, and destroys obsolete documents. We do that all the time. We just have it on the internet, so I don't have to delete the old one. They just change it.
Yeah.
He updates Big Brother's orders and party records so they match new developments. Big Brother can never be wrong. Even when the citizens of Airstrip 1 are forced to live with less food, they're told that they'll be given more than ever, and by and large, they believe it. This day, Winston must alter record of a speech made in December 1983, which referred to Comrade Withers, one of Big Brother's former officials, who has since been vaporized. Since Comrade Withers was executed as an enemy of the party, it's unacceptable to have a document on file praising him as a loyal party member. So when he's burnt, he's erased. Right, he was loyal. He turned. They erased him from the records. Kind of interesting. The one line, "Big Brother can never be wrong," even when the citizens of Airstrip 1 are forced to live with less food, they're told they're being given more food. And that was a theme from Animal Farm as well, where they kept cutting the food, and the animals that believed they were free ultimately worked harder than animals in captivity for less food. And you always had Squealer up there. Squealer was always telling people, "Oh, no, production is up. We're doing great. You guys, more food than ever," and everyone's starving. Like, no, you got more food than ever. Believe me, this is the good times.
Reminds me of the unemployment.
Right. Yeah. Unemployment rate.
Never right.
You look at inflation, they're like, nah, it's no big deal. No big deal. Like, no, stuff's expensive. No, it's fine. No, you're silly. You know what you're talking about. I mean, we get that so much here now.
And then it never comes down. Like they go, "Oh yeah, it's inflation for now to help them," but then it doesn't come down. You know, like
no, it doesn't.
Like I remember when petrol broke the $1 per liter here, and everyone was like, "Ah!" and the government was like, "It's only for a little while. It's only for a little while." It never went back. It never went back under $1. It's always just more and more and more and more. You know, so it's
because a business is never going to say, "Yes, I'll take less profit."
Right.
Like, why would they?
Yeah.
If you know you can sell a profit at a price point and people are still going to buy it, you're never going to drop that price point back to what it was before.
Right.
Because you're not going to drop your profits. If you do, you're honestly shouldn't be in business, because that's really bad business practice.
Yeah.
Any business class will tell you, you have to find the sweet spot of what people are willing to pay and what you're comfortable with for a profit margin.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Winston invents a person named Comrade Ogilvy and substitute him from Comrade Withers. In the records, Comrade Ogilvy, though a product of Winston's imagination, is an ideal party man, opposed to sex and suspicious of everyone. Comrade Withers has become an unperson. He has ceased to exist. Watching a man named Comrade Tilson and the cubicles across the way, Wilson reflects on the activity in the Ministry of Truth, where thousands of workers correct the flow of history to make it match party ideology and churn out endless drivel, even pornography, to pacify the brutally destitute proletariats. Having a hard time with that one. Right.
Yeah, I just heard proles. The proles.
Proletariat.
It's a tongue twister.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Peter Proletariat. Picked a peck.
I'm trying to say that 20 times.
Peter Proletariatism.
Picked a peck of peppers.
Right.
Yeah.
Picked a pack of proletariats.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go to chapter 5. Winston has lunch with a man named Simi, an intelligent party member who works for a revised dictionary of Newspeak, the official language of Oceania. Simi tells Winston that Newspeak aims to narrow the range of thought to render thought crime impossible. If there are no words in a language that are capable of expressing independent and rebellious thoughts, no one will ever be able to rebel or even to conceive of the idea of rebellion. Winston thinks that Simi's intelligence will get him vaporized one day. So on that,
sounds like probably.
All right, you're a little too smart, buddy. You think you got it? They're going to take you out. One thing I liked about the scene was it really kind of gives you the feel for the dystopian, kind of the dark world.
Oh,
you know, that they're showing where there was, you know, limits on cigarettes and shoes, and you know, here they're kind of eating in the cafeteria. Everything's always dark and dreary and super controlled, and you're afraid of the, you know, the facial expressions you might make, and he's got to tell this guy how much he loves newspeak.
Right.
You know, and the whole newspeak is they're cutting words out of the dictionary to try to get to the point that you can't even conceive of something. You know, and we sort of do that today. You know, changing the meaning of words. You see dictionary definitions changing all the time. You saw that in the U.S. What, years ago? We're in a recession. Based on the dictionary definition of a recession, it was a certain number of quarters of negative GDP, and they changed the definition. They're like, no, we're not. We changed the definition. We're not in a recession anymore.
How many business textbooks do they have to pull?
It's like, no, we changed it. So we literally did that. They're like, we changed it. No, that definition, that's the old definition.
Right.
Yeah, we changed it. So we're not in a recession because we changed the definition of recession, so we're not there anymore.
Yes.
Like, okay. Like we literally do that stuff. We literally do
we
that
do it all
stuff.
the time with everything.
Yeah, we literally do that. Like, no, that's not the definition anymore, actually. So we're not.
Well, apparently thumbs up emojis are I can see it because it's like good, you know, being real sarcastic. But apparently thumbs up doesn't mean okay anymore. It means you're an idiot. So,
no.
Really?
Yeah, they actually told us at work not to use thumbs up emojis. Yeah, you're not supposed to say thumbs up. It's right. It's like condescending or something. Yeah.
Huh.
We're not allowed to do the thumbs up anymore.
I do that.
Give him the Spock.
Yeah.
Give him the super glue. Give him the super glue. You can do double super glue. But don't play with super glue. Fingers get stuck together.
You know, I guess everything offends everybody. So
it's always going to be offensive. Yeah, they told us a long time ago we're not allowed to use thumbs up anymore. Because
you say thank you, or is thank you offensive?
You could probably say thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someday thank you will be offensive.
It will be offensive. Yeah.
We'll just stop speaking to each other.
If you identify as a you.
Oh. See, I'm sorry. If you identify as a cat, you shouldn't have to go to school.
Right.
And there shouldn't be a litter box in the back of your classroom because cats don't go to school.
Cats don't go to school.
Right. You're good. You're done. Yeah. All right.
I identify as a pig, so I hang out with
the pigs. You just want to hang out in the yard. Right. Eat bananas.
My pigs love bananas. They sound like little apes when they come and get me too. Like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
All right.
That's cute, man.
All right. Book 1, Chapter 5. Winston has lunch with a man named. Oh, we were already through that. Okay. Parson, a pudgy.
Describes this scene really well. Like I was in that cafeteria. There's a few scenes in there where it's kind of, but I was in that cafeteria sitting at the table next to him. And he did a really good job, Orwell.
Yeah, I think he's a good writer.
Absolutely. I thought so too. That's what I was saying. I mean, I thought I didn't have that there, but I mean, it really feels like you're there. You can see the cafeteria, eating the crappy food and having to sit and talk to all the people you don't like at work. So I definitely. No, I was there. I was in the room with him. All right.
He did a good job.
Parsons, a pudgy and fervent party official and the husband of the woman whose plumbing Wilson fixed in Chapter 2, comes into the canteen and elicits a contribution from Winston for Neighborhood Hate Week. He apologizes to Winston for children's harassment the day before, but is openly proud of their spirit. Well, what do you do?
He's proud of his little demons.
Right, I'll turn you in. Suddenly, an exuberant message from the Ministry of Plenty announces increase in production over the loudspeakers. Winston reflects that the alleged increase in the chocolate ration to 20 grams was actually a reduction from the day before, but those around him seem to accept the announcement joyfully and without suspicion. Winston feels that he is being watched. He looks up and sees the dark-haired girl staring at him. He worries again that she is a party agent. So, like, nobody trusts anybody. Right?
Speaking of chocolate, chocolate apparently is the next thing that's going to, like, totally hit inflation.
Is it? Yeah, we'll have to stock up.
I'm
not sure it's a necessity, but
okay.
Chocolate
it's a necessity in my house.
Yeah, have to stock up. We'll hit the store.
We'll stock up for you.
We'll go right now and buy all the chocolate in town.
Apparently it's
put it
supposed
in
to
5-gallon buckets.
Which is really sad because the way you
the cocoa nibs, the cocoa nibs, they actually store like grain almost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got a few kilos of that, and then I've got the hot chocolate, like the hospitality sized bags. I've got a few of them. They're all like Mylar type things. So I've got them. So I've got my little stash.
Right. You got the candy stash. Yeah. If something happens, you just have to find a boat, come to Texas with the chocolate.
Yeah.
Right. We'll take care of everything else.
You can hang out with us. We got all the other stuff. It'll be our chocolate supply.
Yeah.
Our chocolate supply. Well, and from whatever chocolate doesn't actually expire, though, it can dry out. You get kind of the funky.
Well, it's a fermented process to get the cocoa bean to the way we eat chocolate now. So it's pretty. Anything fermented lasts a long time.
Yeah.
Just through the process of.
Well, and something kind of interesting, because it was a video I was looking at, working on today. Like I do most of the videos on the weekends, rarely during the week, but when he was talking about Winston feels that he's being watched, looks up and sees the dark-haired girl staring at him, worries that she's a party agent. So I was doing some research, and it actually said right now, like 40% of people in the U.S. don't trust other people just in general.
I don't trust anybody.
Right. So almost half of people don't trust anybody. They don't trust other people.
Okay, like I'm 51 years old.
Yeah.
I have spent my entire life being so nice and trustworthy of people, and have been stepped on on my entire life. People have always taken advantage of me. And it's taken until now to be like, I don't trust you folks anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's like 40% don't trust anybody.
And I'm like, I just don't trust you.
Yeah. Right.
Not because I don't have a reason to, because you've given me reasons to not trust you.
But this is just in general. Just 40% of people don't trust.
I mean, they could have just been screwed over too many times. Yeah. Oh, God, I don't trust my neighbors. Are you kidding? Hits the fan?
Yeah.
Like, people will take care of themselves first.
Right.
You're very much a like, kumbaya.
Bring in the group. Gotta pull everybody.
Bring in everybody. And I'm like, nope.
No, shoot him.
I'm not saying shoot him. I'm just saying don't let him through the door.
Yeah.
I don't advocate violence. I just don't want him sleeping here.
Right.
Yeah.
We're staying here for more than a couple hours.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just interesting how he pointed out he didn't trust her, and just from looking at stuff, I was looking at the actual levels of trust in certainly in America, in the world right now, are pretty low.
And I think that also ties back to the people being afraid to talk to each other. Yeah. Because when we do talk to each other, we find parts of common ground, But I think it all ties in through that.
I think so. No, absolutely. All right. Book 1, Chapter 7, Winston writes in his diary that any hope for revolution against the party must come from the proles. He believes that the party cannot be destroyed from within, and that even the Brotherhood, a legendary revolutionary group, lacks the wherewithal to defeat the mighty thought police. The proles, on the other hand, make up 85% of the population of Oceania and could easily muster the strength and manpower to overcome the police. However, the proles lead brutish, ignorant, animalistic lives and lack both the energy and interest to revolt. Most of them do not even understand that the party is oppressing them. It feels sort of relatable nowadays. Winston looks through the children's book to get a feeling for what has really happened in the world. The party claims to have built ideal cities, but London, where Winston lives, is a wreck. The electricity seldom works, the building's in decay, and people live in poverty and fear, lacking a reliable official record. Winston does not know what to think about the past. The party's claims that it has increased the literacy rate, reduced the infant mortality rate, and given everyone better food and shelter could all be fantasy. Winston suspects that these claims are untrue, but has no way to know for sure, since history has been written entirely by the party, which kind of goes back to controls the present, controls the past,
controls the current reality.
Yeah. If you have no
we can actually even
context.
see a historical context for that in the Enclosure Acts of the early Industrial Revolution. So the history is that people fled the rural areas to come to the factories because they were all starving. They were all poor, they were all starving.
Right.
When reality is they were self-sufficient within their community. They had the commons, they could go graze, they could grow their own crops. They had access to everything they needed. They just didn't have money. Yeah.
Right.
And so then once the Industrial Revolution came in, they were then reclassified as being in poverty because they didn't have money. And so even though they had everything they needed, they were still classed as poverty. And then the Enclosure Acts came that blocked off people's access to the commons, blocked off people's access to forage, blocked off people's access to hunting. And so their needs, they weren't able to supply their immediate needs. And so that's why they were starving. That's why they ended up going to the factories, and that's why they went to the cities. It wasn't because they were already starving.
Because you guys took our grazing land away.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the Industrial Revolution didn't save them. The Industrial Revolution caused their, it caused. Yeah. And so that there's an example of the history being rewritten by the victors.
Right. Yeah. They created a problem, and the Industrial Revolution was the solution.
Yeah.
Right. Right. They created a problem, and what they wanted was the solution to the problem. Oh no, you all have to move to the cities. Look how smart you guys are. You always hear that. So smart. You guys are so smart.
And they made money off of it.
Right. Yeah.
By not allowing the land to be grazed by animals from multiple places. It's the nothing's free.
Right.
No, sorry, it's not free.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with all the coal in the ground. Sorry, what is that?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Or the coal in the ground that they.
The resources that they want to exploit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
I've written here on a little note.
Yeah.
In the chapter 7, he's talking about the women fighting over the saucepans. Yeah. And I just saw Stanley cups.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We could do the same, but with Stanley cups.
No, absolutely. All right, keep going. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it, right? And that obviously comes up later in the book. There's sort of a famous, if you call it famous scene, where 2 and 2 equals 5. And my understanding is that was a play on an actual Soviet plan where they were going to do 5 years worth of stuff in 4. So it's like a 5-year plan where they were going to do it in 4. So plays against. But we get a lot of 2 and 2 make 5 nowadays, where they're, they tell you something and you're like, no, in your mind, you're like, that's not real, but they say it's real anyway. So, I mean, I'm not going to go too far into that because we can't. Because it could be a thought crime. But 2 and 2 make 5. They make up their own reality.
Yeah.
Winston remembers an occasion where he caught the party in a lie. In the mid-1960s, a cultural backlash caused the original leaders of the revolution to be arrested. One day, Winston saw a few of these deposed leaders sitting at the Chestnut Tree Cafe, a gathering place for out-of-favor party members. The song played under the spreading chestnut tree. I sold you and you sold me. And one of the party members, Rutherford, began to weep. Winston never forgot the incident, and one day came upon a photograph that proved that the party members had been in New York, and at the time they were allegedly committing treason in Eurasia. Terrified, Winston destroyed the photograph, but it remains embedded in his memory as a concrete example of party dishonesty. So, I mean, they have so much control that, I mean, you can't even find anything because they're constantly rewriting history. It's hard to find any evidence of the wrongdoing, but he knows he saw it.
Right.
And that actually comes back later as well.
Yeah, but the more they get to him, which is the more the reality is he questions his reality.
Right.
Just like the more somebody tells you you're wrong, just like in gaslighting.
Right. Which is what
they did. Yeah. You start to question your reality and you're like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Did I not see that? And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Winston
I'm experiencing that right now.
Have you been gaslighted?
I experienced that with my first husband.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Call Saul Goodman. If you feel like you've been gaslighted, call 1-800.
Yeah.
Better call Saul.
Yeah. But then it's sent through to a call center that will just gaslight you more and be like, yeah, of course.
Right, just gaslight you more.
Right.
Well, we listened to you and you're good. You weren't gaslighted. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We're listening.
We're listening and you're not gaslighted. Don't worry. You're fine.
Right,
you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll let you know. If you think you're gaslighted again, call us back. We'll let you know. But you're good right now. No one gaslighted you. Gaslight hotline. All right. Winston thinks of his writing in his diary as a kind of letter to O'Brien. Though Winston knows almost nothing about O'Brien beyond his name, he is sure that he detects a strain of independence and rebellion in him, a consciousness of oppression similar to Winston's own. Thinking about the party's control of every record of the truth, Winston realized that the party requires its members to deny the evidence of their eyes and ears, which they call doublethink. He believes the true freedom lies in the ability to interpret. The doublethink. They do it. They do it. People do it.
Too much.
He believes the true freedom lies in the ability to interpret reality as one perceives it and to be able to say 2 + 2 = 4. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 make 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they should make the claim sooner or later. The logic of their position demanded it, not merely the validity of existence, but the very existence of external reality was tactfully denied by their philosophy. So that's book 1, chapter 7. Yeah, I mean, we see it. We see that stuff all the time. I mean, unfortunately. All right, 751. Let's see. We can probably hit chapter 8. We're still in book 1, so this is gonna be a long one, but it should be. I think there's a lot to discuss in 1984. I feel like there's a lot there, especially with everything going on now. So I don't mind.
Well, we did well. Chapter 8's the end of part 1, isn't it?
Is it? Let's see. It could be. Could be. Not unless I change it. It is. All right. So yeah, we made it through part 1. Okay.
Wrap it up, buddy.
All right, let's do it.
Good job.
When memory failed and written records were falsified, Winston goes for a walk through the Pearl District and envies the simple lives of the common people. He enters a pub where he sees an old man, a possible link to the past. He talks to the old man and tries to ascertain whether, in the days before the party, people were really exploited by bloated capitalists, as the party records claim. The old man's memory is too vague to provide an answer. Winston laments that the past has been left to the Pearls, who will inevitably forget it. Winston walks to the secondhand store, which he bought the diary, and buys a clear glass paperweight with a pink coral center from Mr. Carrington, the proprietor. Mr. Carrington takes him upstairs to a private room with no telescreen, where a print of St. Clement's Church looks down from the wall, invoking the old rhyme, oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's. You owe me 3 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. On the way home, Winston sees a figure in blue party overalls, the dark-haired girl apparently following him. Terrified, he imagines hitting her with a cobblestone or with the paperweight in his pocket. He hurries home and decides that the best thing to do is commit suicide before the party catches him. He realizes that if the thought will catch him, they will torture him before they kill him. He tries to calm himself by thinking about O'Brien and the place where there is no darkness that O'Brien mentions in Winston's dreams. Troubled, he takes a coin from his pocket and looks in the face of Big Brother. He cannot help but recall the party slogans: war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. So that's book 1, chapter 8. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in the beginning with the pub, he takes a guy, he finds an old guy and buys him a bunch of drinks, trying to say, tell me about the past. Look for the oldest person he can find, get him drunk, and be like, tell me about the past, because the past is so gone and taboo that he just wants to hear about the past. Tell me about were things always like this? Trying to understand when the past keeps getting rewritten.
He's a weird dude. This Winston, he's a weird dude.
Yeah. He's trying to figure out something.
he's trying to figure it out, but then he's the one that's actually like rewriting reality.
history.
So he's perpetuating the problem.
Yeah.
So it's very strange.
Winston's age when they talk, because he was a kid, and like there's already 13, 14-year-olds that can't remember before COVID. And so
so weird.
So and so in another 10, 15 years time, if we have a lot of mass destabilization, there's only going to be the old people that remember, the 90s and the Y2K and
right. People won't even know.
Well, and people usually remember stuff that's traumatic,
right?
Because like I taught, like my daughter, if I ask her stuff, I mean she's 27, so she remembers 9/11.
Right.
I think she was 5 then, but she remembers 9/11 just because
it was so impactful.
It was so impactful. Like she, like everything, like childhood for her is like goes back to 9/11.
Right. For me, it was Challenger. I remember Challenger.
Yours was the Challenger. Mine was Ronald Reagan getting shot.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, President Ronald Reagan getting shot. I was home with chickenpox that day, and I watched that man push the president into the limousine a million times, and him get shot.
Yeah, I remember Challenger.
Wow.
I watched Challenger at school.
Right.
I think I was in 8th grade when that happened.
Well, what's that? Sorry, Daniel. What's the
Challenger? It was NASA. It was a NASA spaceship that went up and blew up on its way into orbit. It had a school teacher in it. Super sad story. But NASA launched a spaceship and it blew up on the way up, full of people. So super sad. It was very impactful. I remember being at school about the Challenger, and there was a school teacher there, so I'm sure they were making a big deal about it at school.
They made a big deal about it in my school because we watched it live.
Right, exactly.
That teacher ran, and I remember she turned that TV off instantly.
Yeah, once it blows up, you're like, oops, turn the TV off. So I mean, they had all the interviews and all the build-up. We're sending a school teacher into space.
I had a very different part of it because I was in Catholic school at the time. So like everybody stayed in their homerooms or classrooms after like it happened, and then everybody had to go to church. Like
they
sent the whole school to church because our church was connected to the church was connected to the school. And then they did like a big service, like the priest came in and did a big service for the people who died. So I mean, that was a big day.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was kind of a big one. But no, you're right. I get what you're saying on that, Jay, which is, there's kids even alive today now that don't remember pre-COVID. So when we talk about new normal and how much the world has changed, like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you see that in the post-apocalyptic movies all the time, where the kids grow up in the apocalypse and they're like looking back on, I miss TV and I miss ice cream. The kids are like, no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
It's sort of that same thing. That same idea is it doesn't take long.
You don't miss what you can't remember.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't take long before people don't even know what they're missing because they don't remember it.
So it is kind of crazy, like my youngest started school in the pandemic, like we were basically at home the whole time,
right?
And she's still struggling now with attending like the full term every single day. She still struggles with it, and I get school refusal quite a lot, actually, like probably at least once a week. She's like, I'm too tired, I can't do this, I need to stay home. So it's a real struggle, because for the first 2 years of her schooling, school one day, no school the next, and she was home, right. So last year was the first year that she was in school the whole year.
Well, I mean, after 4 years of not, it's hard to go back. Like, why are we going back? This sucks. Why did everyone decide to do this again? Because it sucks. Why did we all decide that it was a good idea?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll close out the live there. That was book 1, right? Chapters 2 through 8. We got book 1, chapter 1 last week with the long intro, and that's okay. This is book 1, chapters 2 through
probably
8.
A couple more.
couple more probably. A lot to talk about here. You can feel the book a lot. So yeah, next Sunday, we'll do same place, same time. We'll start book 2, chapter 1. So everybody, thanks for watching. And we appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.